guys, I welcome you all to this special webinar. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Stutee Ghosh. We're actually streaming live on Facebook from my page. I'm a film critic and a radio presenter. Now, a couple of months back, all of us were wishing each other a very happy new year. We had our own personal to-do lists and agendas for the year, but as things stand, we find ourselves in the middle of a pandemic. We're all in our own ways trying to cope with it, but what happens to our love? What happens to films, to cinema, to film festivals? If everything was normal today, a lot of us probably would have been at the Cannes Film Festival. It would have been day 3 of Cannes. And so to discuss the future of films, of film festivals in this post-pandemic world, we have this special discussion. I'm going to start by introducing my co-moderator for the evening. We have CHATTERJEE, award-winning film critic.
Hi, Stutee.
Hi, SAIBAL. Good to have you here. And we have an amazing panel. I'm going to start by introducing Tiina Lokk. Tiina is the festival director of Tallinn Black Nights Film Festival. Hi, Tiina. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to meet you like this. Next, we have Michel Frodon. He's joining us all the way from Paris. Michel is a senior film critic and
hi, Michel.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to have you. Also joining us is filmmaker Nalin. He's made films like Samsara, Angry Indian Nurses.
Hi, Nalin.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
And finally, we have our very own Smriti Kiran, creative director, MAMI Mumbai Film Festival with Star. Smriti, are you here?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Smriti.
Hi.
The ever smiling Smriti. So super. Over to you, SAIBAL.
Yeah, okay. So I think my first question will be to Tiina, and Smriti, you too can answer because entries are open for your festivals and they've been open for a while. So has the pandemic impacted the response from the global filmmaking community? Has it been adversely affected in any way? Tiina?
No, right now it is very difficult to say because actually many of people are joking that we are going to be the second festival after Berlinale of this year and the last one. I am not so optimistic because we usually November is a very hard time for Estonia anyway, because as who have been there, you know that black nights, darkness, cold, and etc. But at the same time, we are very optimistic because we are preparing festival. But at the same time, it is, let's say, $1 million questions, because we even don't know, do we have the films? What kind of films we do have? Because we started, actually, we opened the entering almost in April. And the first, during the April, even the festival is so far, no, not April, sorry. In the beginning of the March, yes. we got a lot of films, and then in one moment was stopped. Now again, films started to arrive, but I don't know what is going on because we don't know Cannes is going to take place. We don't know what is going on with San Sebastian. We don't know what is going on with Venice. Toronto, all the big festivals. We don't know actually what kind of films. Usually we are catching up and trying to get films what are going to be released in the autumn fall. But and which means that actually when the production of the films was stopped everywhere, then actually it was stopped mainly the production of the films which usually we are trying to get. You understand me?
Yeah,
so
of course, yeah.
We don't know actually now when everything is going to be open up, how many new films there will be. Actually, it is an absolutely unpredictable situation. And there is only way to keep calm, go on, and just to keep the sense of humor and to make, we do have a long-term plan. And then we are moving with the baby steps every day. and let's say taking with a nose surrounding, I am reading a lot of articles about the virus. I think so that I became like a virus specialist because I have to somehow at least to understand to where the world is moving and what is going on, at least some kind of things, what is going on in September, August. One festival we just finished right now. It was our horror and fantasy film festival in a small city. And we moved to the online. And it was for us, of course, very, very good opportunity because we made this like a pilot. We saw what is going on if we should have to move the festival partly at least to the online. But yeah, it's not easy. Estonian film industry is locked down. Nothing going to be happen right now. And it's better not to ask and not to touch. Everyone is very nervous.
It's the same here. Yeah.
So, it's very, 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 very difficult. At the same time, it is very ridiculous because if I could show my surrounding, I am in the deep forest, foxes, lynx are around. I am kidding. It's really my reality. So I'm enjoying the time. I never didn't have better time, 2 months in the forest. And probably I'm going to continue because let's say what I discovered that we, and maybe it is maybe biggest problem for the festival which are coming right now also because we do have 15 basic members. And actually we can't avoid that something will happen with one of our team members, because there is no way to replace any person after July. So it is very tricky. And one of the person in my team was got the virus, and she was young girl, and she was out months, and she didn't recover still fully. So it is serious.
It is, you know, of course, we're talking about a virus and you know.
And also, what's happening to MAMI?
What's happening to MAMI? No, I think we've, you know, what we are doing right now is we also run a year-round program. So we've kind of, you know, we've not stopped all the processes that sort of we move with through the months running up till the festival, because just like Tiina's festival, our festival is also scheduled for November this year.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm hopeful that we will be able to do some form of the festival, though looking at the situation in India and of course the rest of the world, we are in different stages of dealing with the pandemic. You know, certain countries have peaked, certain ours has not as yet. It's an evolving piece, and theaters are going to be the last place to open. And they're going to open with, you know, what we also need to consider in an ecosystem like India is that there are lots of commercial films that have not found a release, right? Yeah. And the thing is, for our festival to happen at that point of time, first of all, we need to know whether the cinemas are going to be open, even if they open with staggered, you know, sort of certain measures put into place. Secondly, the thing is everyone's release calendar has gone for a toss. Riding on independent films as well as commercial films is, you know, everybody is in a quandary. The topmost producers are kind of figuring out how to do this, how to adapt to this so that they don't suffer losses. Offices don't have to shut down. People are losing their livelihood. You know, there are films like Pan was just saying, there are films that are short 80% or 50% or 30%, and everybody's timeline has gone for, you know, there's nothing, you can't even predict anything because you don't know how this is going to evolve. So with MAMI, I don't know, somehow 90% I feel that we will do some form of a festival, but the way MAMI happens every year, that is not the way it is going to happen.
Okay.
That I can tell you for certain. You know,
we are preparing actually 3 scenarios, no, 2 basic. One, right now we are going to continue like as usual the festival took place. But at the same time, we are building up right now, which is, to be very honest, so interesting that I'm forgetting everything about connecting to the virus, because we are preparing to move to the online with all our industry, and to be ready also that if, let's say, really all the cinemas are again locked down and closed in November, then we can show also movies also and held and social events to make in online. But we do hope that at least films we can show in online, well, in the cinemas, and maybe only the industry screenings and etc. But the industry, definitely, I can promise that if I'm surviving, then it will be quite interesting experience how we are building up also platform for all this industry, big industry what we do have for all the sections and markets and conferences and etc. So this is extremely interesting. So when I'm getting nervous, I immediately I am starting to think about the new things. And yeah, we are preparing like nothing happened right now. We are working. And luckily for us, it is very easy, or it was always, we used a lot of home offices. So it is not so new and very uncomfortable for us. So it is, we can manage.
Right.
So,
Okay, my question is to Pan Nalin. Nalin is the only filmmaker on the panel. I want to ask you, when you hear this talk about festivals getting cancelled, about a huge question mark on certain festivals, when festival directors say we'll have it, but in not the form that we generally do. As a filmmaker, what is your worry? What goes through your head? How, you're personally invested in it. So what's at stake?
I think as a filmmaker, just to take an example of my current film, this was my 5th fictional feature film. And we were really excited because earlier on with the rough edit, we were able to share with artistic director of Cannes Film Festival, and he really loved it and we got really excited. And that got us a really good sales agent on board, because my film is, it's a Gujarati film shot in a small town. And suddenly we got Orange Studio, which is like a big company in France, as a sales agent. And the Berlin market, we revealed 1 minute, and we got even more excited that, okay, we will have a strong chance going to Cannes. And we sort of put more of our investment, me and my young producer from Mumbai, and I had in fact put my home in Mumbai as a kind of a mortgage to the bank to finance the film, because we had tried everywhere. We couldn't get funding, and we had to shoot this film because we wanted to coincide in the year 2020, the disappearance of celluloid as a film, because it's 10 years, 1 decade, and the film is about story of film. So when this news, I was constantly in touch with the festivals, and different festivals like Venice and Toronto. And so it's been devastating to tell you, because, not only, of course, economically, it's very scary, but you feel lonely as an independent filmmaker, because all the films I have done, if at all, wherever they have gone, they've only gone because of festivals, small or big. If the distributors came and acquired the film, whether it was Miramax acquiring Samsara at Toronto or Toho acquiring Valley of Flowers at Japan in Busan, whatever, so even earlier on, the initial version of Mumbai Festival where Sony acquired, I think, so it's primarily important to get a platform like any important festival, because that makes the film for someone like Mr. SAIBAL CHATTERJEE to see it, because, and there are many other critics who will see it. If not independently, we don't have means to do marketing and advertising for a film. No one would not even know a title, if we are not in some of the important festivals. Forget seeing the film is another story, and of course, OTT and all that is changing quite a lot right now. But for me, the first thing is that the festival, and when the festival goes, the market goes. And then for a film like this, it's super difficult to survive, so we have been constantly tracking, going back and forth. There is a huge pressure to just sell it off to one of the OTT platform right away and recover uh, the cost of the movie, at least, but then the salespeople and distributor came back to us and say, hey, my film is called Last Film Show, and your film is about cinema hall, and half of the story happens inside the cinema hall of 2010 in India, which is going to shut down because 35mm is being taken away and digital is coming in. So how can you suddenly go to, and we will definitely get a platform, and then sort of Kodak came that, okay, we can sponsor an event for you if you are at A-list festival to launch. So we've been constantly torn, to save our, investment, at least get money back so that we can survive for next year or two. Or how long can we wait? We don't know that today. Can we wait 2 more, 3 more months, or just give it in and sell it to one of the leading OTT platform, the film, and not wait for any festivals?
Yeah.
Nalin, the title of your film has been eerily prophetic, Last Film Show.
Yes, that's, yeah, I mean, we didn't know when we were making it. So that's what I think the festival, which Venice is going to look at it next week. Our rough cut is ready. We haven't finished the film yet. But somehow we didn't plan for it. And it seems like it coming at a right time. Maybe we had a kind of a clairvoyance or seventh sense. Because even though it's a last film show, but it's about embracing the change. It's really embracing the change. The film is about, how do you embrace change? So when India went from celluloid to digital in 2009 to 10, there were about 1 lakh, which is about 100,000 35mm movie projectors were destroyed. And, and about 1.5 million film prints were melted, and turned into bracelets for women, So the backdrop of my story is that, at that when this digital came, and what really happened, the quest for film, and and of course it's an emotional journey, partly autobiographic, of group of kids, who trying to embrace cinema in their own way in a very remote part. But what was most important in the film was the nature and the idea of rejuvenation and recycling. And somehow, suddenly, because of pandemic, it seems that these are the themes we're going to be talking about, that how much we as a mankind responsible for bringing this onto us, and somewhere as a filmmaker, I do feel guilty. I feel instead of dreaming all the time, I should have done something more. I did try to make a film on Ayurveda, to speak about nature and healing long time ago, but try to go into some kind of a nature always played a big part, but, or you say you can take it as like Gilles Deleuze had said in one of his writing that as a man, when we feel shame, maybe that's, so today I do feel guilty and shame with what's going on in a tiny way. Maybe that is the best time you start writing. It's turned that shame and guilt into something creative. So I feel, I think it will be a very important time to know what's really going to happen and how to embrace this change. So, and that's what as a filmmaker I've been thinking, that I have to really, the few ideas I'm working on in lockdown are all going direct on the platform, either by myself on YouTube directly or associating, because I have to wait and see. And now as a medium, what can I do best with this audit, this platform, how to, suddenly it's a bit like I was all my life painting oil color and watercolor, and suddenly I've been given now asked to make sculptures, work with stone and marble. It's a change, but can I embrace this change and adapt to it? I don't know. I've already started working on it.
Jean-Michel, talking about embracing change, see, Cannes still hasn't cancelled the festival. They've only postponed it. So
it's cancelled. It's cancelled.
Cancelled?
Cancelled it.
Cancelled?
Cancelled, yeah.
Only online market is happening. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no possibility of the festival happening, a physical version of the festival happening
No, there might be some events with a Cannes label, but it won't be Cannes Festival at by any way. So it's basically it is cancelled. As Smriti just said, the market is happening online, but the festival itself, the main dimension of the event is not happening into 2020, and it's not going to.
So how do you see this panning out for independent filmmakers who depended on a festival like Cannes, like Nalin was saying, to take their films to the world and show it to people, and
obviously it's a huge blow to everyone in the film community, especially independent film community worldwide, and Cannes is the most significant one, but the festival ecosystem at large, which all its level, because with their specificities, I'm really convinced that film festival is a system, which is like an ecosystem that is connected, which is also connected with film criticism and maybe also to a certain extent with teaching. All the opportunities we have to keep alive another idea of cinema than the one which is only market driven, which is basically what film festivals, film critics, and people who are intermediaries, and of course filmmakers and those who make the films, who are the most important of all, but who need this environment, is in danger, as cinema at large is in danger, because big theater chains are also with problems. So the notion of cinema is hit very strongly with what's going on now. Myself, I may be wrong, but I do not believe at all that all of this is vanishing. I believe that we are going through a very difficult moment. It is a painful moment. It can be a rather long moment, so it's no use to pretend that everything is going to be okay next week or next month, but that nevertheless the essential dimensions which are related to cinema and the way film festivals, independent cinema, and all these elements which are connected together are part of life, or social life, or human life, or cultural life at large, are meant to remain and to change, of course, but not that much. I am a bit worried or reluctant, at least, with this kind of too easy discourse of okay, let's blow everything out and let's do everything differently because now it's time to change. What needs to be changed, let's change it, but not everything needs to be changed. There are a lot of things we care for that were important to us 1 year ago or 10 years ago, and which will still be important to us in 1 year or in 10 years from now. And let's also pay attention to that, be careful with that, because there is this rhetoric of yes, now it's a big shift, it's the world of tomorrow. We have to do our best to make the world of tomorrow a little bit better than the world of before, though it's not sure, to say the least. Yeah. But it's not based, as I see it, on dismissing or abandoning what we really cared for in the previous world. And this has to do with a lot of issues, obviously, but especially about digital. Digital is important. Digital is opening opportunities and bringing new threats, new dangers, new kind of organization which can jeopardize a lot of things we care for. So I really think we should we should think about digital, not in terms of substitution, but in terms of reconnection, reorganization, assembling elements that do come from the pre-digital world because it was important and it still is, and elements that are input thanks to digital, or that can be, and this is in general, but especially about film festivals. So for me, in a longer term, I'm not discussing what's happening this year, and those among us who are directly in charge of festivals, clearly it's a very difficult moment, but they have to find immediate solution. And I'm sure everyone is doing the best or the most feasible reaction that they can. But if we try to think in a little longer term, we should think of how digital can enforce, make stronger what was already there with film festivals, which should remain, meaning real events in real places with real people gathering in the longer term, in 2 years, maybe, or 3 years, but this is a target for me that should not be forgotten. But using digital devices to enlarge it, to archive what has been done, to make it circulate between the events and connect people who cannot attend. And there's a lot of things to invent. Many of them are being already invented by many talented people, but there is much more. So I really think we should not oppose real life and digital, but privilege real life of the long term with as many digital tools as we can as accessories that can help to make these real life events even stronger. Because, sorry, well, just one more thing, what has been said by all the other before me was so strong for me in the sense that how it is important, because now that we miss it, we realize probably better, or more people realize how much we rely on film festivals and on this ecosystem, which had become like natural, it's happening, we are enjoying it, we're going to this place and meeting people, watching film. It was going it easily to a certain extent, even if it was already a lot of work, of course, but it was in the flow. But now the flow has been blocked, we miss it, and we see how much we needed it, and how much we're gonna need it again in 6 months or 9 months or 1 year from now, but we will need it, and we should already anticipate how to move toward it.
You know, what you said is so true. We're now suddenly, you know, realizing now that this calendar year looks barren, and we're not able to go to the festivals that we want to, how much we actually rely on it. And you made an interesting point about saying how we shouldn't look at digital or online as a substitute, and in fact use it to further amplify what we're already doing. Now here, I want to get you in, Smriti, artistic director, MAMI. You guys are also part of We Are One, this online festival where major festivals of the world are coming together. Explain to me what this means, because I'm just trying to understand, are filmmakers okay with films that they actually probably made for the big screen to be shown online, and there are a lot of other issues related to that, say piracy, and you know, basically how do we plan all of that?
So, first of all, it's a great honor for us to be part of We Are One, because, it's the first time that 21 film festivals from across the world are coming together. And I think it's a show of solidarity. I think what Tribeca International Film Festival is the one that initiated it, because first of all, anyone who's ever put together a film festival would tell you how hard it is. It's very satisfying, but it's also very hard. And watching my colleagues, at South by Southwest, Doha, Tribeca, have their festivals suddenly it's like I'm never cribbing about going there or standing in line. It's just when something is taken away from you, you realize how much you miss it and how much you want to be. So seeing that was heartbreaking. And of course, there are filmmakers who planned their entire year, based on which festival they will launch with and what kind of exposure their film will get. We Are One is an initiative that Tribeca took on, and they're doing an excellent job. They've brought 21 festivals together, and what they've done is they've given specific number of hours to each festival to showcase films, and they've made the system very flexible. Okay. So for example, whichever, because it's a first of its kind event, whichever film gets selected by the festival will have a lot of spotlight on it. And they've taken out all the premier status rules. So you can maybe choose 5 best films that, like, we've decided to go with Indian films. So we are not even looking at international films that were in our cache earlier. We've only decided to, fill our programming with the best of Indian cinema. We've got 1 world premiere. We've got a bunch of films which are absolutely new, and a bunch that are not available on any platform. Tribeca has, this festival is going to start on May 29th. And it's a tie-up with YouTube, right? There is a anti-piracy advisory, and they're working with different companies to ensure that, piracy doesn't happen. But I can tell you this, and I might get jabbed for it, that it is absolutely, like, nobody will be able to give you 100% guarantee on anti-piracy. The biggest platforms will not be able to do it. The only risk is that if your film has not got a commercial deal with a platform, which means that at least there is a monetary benefit that is coming to the producer and the director before they go onto a platform, it can sometimes be a risky proposition. But then the filmmaker and producer decide as to what is beneficial to their, film. Is it going to give the film, like, for example, critics like you, Jean, Michel, SAIBAL might see the film, write about it. There's enough amount of buzz that's created around it, and then a platform might get interested in that film. So a lot of people are looking at it that way. And I would like to actually add to what Michel was saying, that digital, a film festival, inherently the texture of the festival is that you meet. Yeah. People meet, people go to the theater, everyone gets together. It's, looking at the talent that you always wanted to listen to, ask questions. That texture, you cannot substitute it with digital. I can't turn around and say that MAMI is happening on digital, because then it's Netflix, Amazon, Voot, Hotstar. It's not that. So we might, all of us are in a moment of pause. We are adapting, we are embracing the change that we need to for right now. It's also given us the opportunity to relook at a lot of things, to do things differently, the ones that need to be done differently. But I really feel that, till the time that we get back to, like, the festival will come back to its glory across the world. I mean, not only just the festival that we do, when it can happen the way it used to happen, maybe parts of it will go digital because it's a more efficient way of doing it. Maybe we'll realize that there were some things that could have actually been done like this and would have been better. But the intrinsic nature of the festival, where people fly in, talent, other people from your ecosystem, juries come, people go to a theater and watch movies, I don't think that's changing. Because, the moment there is something major that happens in the world, like when TV was coming, or when something else came, everyone for the last 60 years has been asking if theater is going to die. Yeah. Like, I don't think they're having a really bad time. It's a very bad moment. But I don't think that window and that experience is going anywhere.
So I think the Mumbai Film Festival is from the 5th to the 12th of November.
Yes.
This year. And the Black Night Film Festival is the 13th to the 29th. So, like, one day after you end, so I mean, suppose and November is still 6 months away. If yes, things do improve and there's some form of a physical festival happening, but do you still, would you get the same kind of, same number of people coming and flying in, because aviation has been hit and, countries will take time to recover. So even if you do a physical festival, so what do you foresee the shape will be? Both Tiina and Smriti.
I think
Tiina. Yeah.
No, Tiina, yeah.
No, go on.
Carry on.
You know, I frankly speaking, I feel that when theaters in India, I can only speak for India. I think there are lots of mandates that they're working on of social distancing and how theaters can actually open in a way that, you know, is feasible. And that, so from the date that actually happens, and I think it's going to be staggered opening.
Yeah.
You know, there are green zones and red zones in the country, and we've not even peaked as yet. So I know it's 6 months away, but even if we happen, I see this right now currently happening as a festival for locals, right?
Yeah.
That we screen, let's say, 50 movies in, you know, cinema halls, but I don't see people flying in. We are confident of getting on a plane. And I know I am going nowhere anytime soon. How can you expect someone to get on a plane to India?
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, Locarno that way, you know, Cannes is cancelled. The biggest film event that you have through the year. Locarno is cancelled. Locarno was supposed to happen in August. It's a huge.
Locarno is cancelled.
Yes. And so basically the thing is, I mean, I'd rather have a dot here than do it in a half-mast compromised way that serves no one. Except for me and the team that says that MAMI happened. You know, so, but hopefully, I mean, I'm hoping that things would come to a situation where at least we can do some form of it to just keep the spirits and the morale high.
Now, what we are trying to do is that actually I'm more hopeful. I'm realistic in this case because I know that the flight connection is not going to be the same as it has been before, and the traveling number also is not the same, and even we don't have money so much because the sponsors, I don't know what is going on yet, and also financing is tricky. It is better not to think about. But what we are trying to do, we are trying to make, if it is possible, then as usual, our two competition, international one, big ones anyway. And for sure, with the competitions, we are trying to bring the people. And we are trying to do so that we are showing, if it is possible, the films in the big cinemas. Even if, let's say, there are some kind of limits for the audience, like right now, we can't show and do anything inside where is more than 500 people. So there probably will be some kind of limits. I'm realistic. And at the same time, as I told you, we are building up the internet area, so the digital things that actually it is going to be open like it was before. Let's say that is geoblock for the local, but there will be a special security zone for the foreign and international industry. So they can watch, critics can watch, and they can attend at least virtually in the festival. And I don't know, I'm not so much afraid, to be very honest, because with our condition, we always have in crisis, because it is not easy to make festival in Estonia. And as I told that actually right now we made the decisions that all our project markets, work in progress, masterclasses, panels, conferences, what we usually are making in industry, that they are going to take place. Now we are preparing this on the via internet, and there will be a special area what we will keep after festival, now we can go on if we are succeeded during the year. I mean that there will be possible to take and see and sell and buy and find the financing and etc. for the filmmakers and producers, the projects, new ones, and it's going to be exist during the rest of the year. And if everything is okay and vaccine is with us and we are lucky and flights are flying, then we are ready. We are going to take the decision in the end of the September. We are ready to take place as usual.
You know, I have a question, and my question is actually to Pan. You know, I wanted to know, because you've got a film that a lot of people were interested in. It's you editing it right now. Now, just as a filmmaker, I wanted to know how you would like to, how are you processing the journey of your film with everything that has changed? Like, would you like to hold off, or would you like to kind of, you know, what if none of the festivals happen the way they usually do? Can you hold on?
Yeah, I think Smriti, when I started, of course, the film was on my own very independently. And then in order to go on finishing the film, you get new partners involved. And as you know, as a festival programmer, curator, director, you must be dealing with distributors, sales agent. And when they come in with their whole lot of questions. Because right now the current debate is going on with my sales agent. Now I need sales agent so that I can make next movie, you know, but the sales agent says, okay, for us, it's not good enough to go to Cannes Film Festival because Cannes is going to offer this label, you know, special official selection. And maybe they will collaborate with Venice or Toronto, but we don't know. So now, you know, so they think, oh, it's not a good thing. We don't want festival. We should wait for Toronto. You know, we should wait for, you know, because we anyway need 2 months to complete the film. So somehow the decision, you know, is sort of driven by the distributor and the sales agent. And as an independent filmmaker, I can only express romantic ideas. Oh, I would love to be at MAMI or Venice. But then they come and pull back the plug and say, oh, no, you can't do that. And, you know, because we want to sell the film and you want fine distribution. So we are constantly torn and have always been, nothing to do with pandemic, between economics, the politics of the festivals with sales agents and distribution, you know, and where one should go. It's you know, earlier when I made my first feature film, I was pretty much happy to decide all the way up. I think I would say up to 2006 or 7, where I want to send my film. But when the financing comes, very often everyone is in rush to release, so you cannot wait. Suppose you completed your film in a month of May, you're not going to wait 1 year for the Cannes, because, you know, May is already, you know, there's a pressure to release it and go to whatever the next festival is available. So somehow it's always to find a platform, ideally, but we all agree on one thing, distributor and world sales, that we are going to need not one, but several festivals. You know, this has been case of most of the movie. And I would personally like that, you know, this obsession of world premiere and all, you know, I hope this pandemic gives more solidarity. So I'm really happy about what Smriti you said, that festivals are coming together and doing this event on YouTube, because that's how it should be. You know, I mean, I think they that if sometime the film is shown, you know, at certain festival, and then suddenly it's not shown in other festival, this way you are giving liberty to OTT platform to buy those films, you know. And so, like, I know the earlier film I did, Angry Indian Goddesses, when we won second runner-up at Toronto and Audience Choice Award at Rome, all the other festivals, sales agents said no to, because they said we will sell it to Netflix. Let's not go to Tokyo, Busan, anywhere. Netflix wants to buy it. And and MAMI, of course, we screened it at MAMI, which was a great screening and helped us find, you know, Indian distribution. So for me, you know, I think that's really important, because, you know, right after showing film at MAMI, we were able to release it. And then big Bollywood film came and we were crushed and thrown out of the theaters. That's a different story. But I know that that cinema experience, you know, as also Jean-Michel earlier pointed out, that as an experience will always going to survive. You know, I mean, whatever platforms may keep coming, you know, when writing came, we had the same fear. When photography came, we had the same fear. When silent movie went through with sound, you know, we had a fear whether Chaplin and Buster Keaton will survive and what will happen. And so I think these changes have always sort of, you know, existed. But I think as what is going to happen the big way, at least whatever film. I've been in touch with a lot of filmmakers from Korea to Japan to many Indian colleagues, who are independent filmmaker, who are not supported by studio. They're going to have really, really, really tough time, and we are facing very big tough time, because maybe some of them, the worst one, are the one whose shootings are half sort of complete.
Yes.
And they just don't know how to move forward, and so very often, literally, we have got proposition on my film that why don't you put 2 songs, and we can do a Gujarat release, or things like that, and so and you sort of, because of economic pressure, you really listen to all these ideas and say, like, okay, where do we stop? When are we going to break down so much that we just give up and say, okay, we need to get the film out, because there are too many films. And so it's a very interesting space to find a harmony and chemistry between OTT platforms, the festivals, filmmakers, and independent filmmakers were anyway having hard time to find theaters. More so in India than anywhere else, and so even when distributors buy our movies, they buy with so many conditions.
Yes.
That, okay, they have right to release in just one single cinema hall, and that's when you said, oh my God, forget this deal, I rather sell it to OTT, but you have to sign on that paper, and we all have signed it. I was even talking to directors like Kim Ki-duk. He has signed on a paper like that, so we are not kind of alone, and then you say, oh, your film was released in one screen. So this pandemic is definitely going to influence the new film which will come out, maybe not now, but in a couple of years from now, that who will be able to rise from this fallout and, go out and make another film, and like personally, just talking about myself, first time I've started embracing all the ideas of doing Bollywood commercial film. I've been taking, because all these years I was saying, no. But I said, okay, why not? Let's just do pure commercial film, and there are so many directors, and maybe that way I will at least survive. And then once I have my financial stability back, I'll go and make, what I want to do, So this changes, we have to, I guess everyone has their own story, but that's where a lot of us are, some are making advertising film. I know a lot of young Indian filmmakers are right now doing ad films while they are in confinement, to survive. Others are making music videos. Some are writing some stuff where there's a little bit of money. Like I do some script consultation to survive, which is still going on in a big way, at least in the West, because, there are a lot of people are creating content for online platform as there is a big demand. But I think we are, as independent filmmakers, we've always been fighter and survivor, and we will survive. And as long as there are festivals, we will survive.
One positive, guys, Stutee and SAIBAL, I wanted to say this earlier also, and then please, go ahead. One positive thing that has come out of this is that because OTTs and a lot of other platforms are sort of springing up, because people are now putting processes into place where they need to really improvise, because how do you survive, right? So a lot of independent films that were not earlier finding digital distributions have actually got avenues that have opened up for them. Older films that didn't find a home or were neglected, they are suddenly they are inundated with offers. There are conversations that have restarted. So I'm just hoping that at least that happens,
Yeah, I think that's a very positive thing. I just want to say, maybe even Jean-Michel, as you know, that for 3 years, Netflix France was saying no to package from MK2 of Kieslowski movies, Francois Truffaut movies. They were not paying money. And now in pandemic...
It's bullshit. It's pure advertising procedure. So they have been talked about millions of times by the media for a very small contract for a very little tiny slate of movies. It's typically this hysteria about Netflix, that whoever says Netflix, everybody goes crazy, whatever they do, which for me is part of the problem and not part of the solution. But there are a lot of things online beside Netflix which are probably more interesting and more promising. But of course, Netflix is now pouring millions and millions to people who need money, so they would go for it, which is understandable, and there is no condemning in saying that, but which is actually building a very insane and dangerous situation on a longer term. And this is for young filmmakers as much as for Martin Scorsese. The same problem.
SAIBAL, you have a question?
Yeah, Jean-Michel, we know France is a country that cherishes and fiercely protects the theatrical experience. I mean, when do you think cinema halls in France will reopen? I mean, in 6 months, in 9 months, or earlier? What is your reading of the situation?
Well, I'm no fortune teller, so I cannot say a specific date. I would say it will reopen probably during summer on specific ways with specific rules, which means that it won't be the general situation. But the main issue is more which cinema will reopen and which will be bankrupt in the process in between, or what will be the possibilities to support them, to support those who are experiencing very big financial trouble because of the closing down. But I'm confident that in a longer term, again, from 18 months from now or something, we will still have or even still rebuild a significant network of cinemas from big multiplexes to small independent theaters all over the country as we enjoy now. So the problem is much more to walk with as less pain as possible through this dangerous river we are crossing now than entering an ocean, an endless ocean of darkness and of catastrophe. Because if we start to think as we are entering, then the catastrophe does happen even worse, much worse. So let's solve the problem as they come. And there is a lot of problem. Not all the solutions are at hand, and there may be not so satisfying solution in the short term that we have to go through because there is no other way to survive, and it's fair. But keeping in mind that there are other steps beyond that can be, which is basically, as I hear it, what all of us is saying here, that we have to make the next step by any possible mean, but keeping in mind a further skyline, which is based on the same principles as what we had before.
Right. I think the one thing that we've managed to establish here is we all miss our festivals, and we miss it in the nature that we are used to, of meeting people and visiting those places. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. You're here from various parts of the world. Tiina, Lokk, all the best for the festival. Really hoping and wishing that it's a success. Smriti, really hope MAMI happens. And I think the one thing that we've established is that although this is a tough year, like Jean-Michel Frodon said, we're trying to cope with it, and digital is helping us, helping filmmakers like Nalin. So we shouldn't probably look at competing, but see how it opens more opportunities and more windows for filmmakers and film lovers to manage to connect with the films that we all know.
One thing I want to say, Stutee, is that we shouldn't shame filmmakers or producers, when they cut digital deals, because Gulabo Sitabo just happened this morning. today it was announced.
Major Bollywood film. Yeah.
Major Bollywood film that is going to go to Amazon Prime. Now the thing is that offices need to be run. There are no shootings happening. People don't have food on the table. People will go through pay cuts. We all feel for cinemas. We miss cinemas. We want to be there. We want to watch movies. So it's not as if somebody is sitting there and strangling cinemas, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, producers are running offices. Their production houses that if a sale doesn't happen, they won't know how to run this. The way we can help the world is we can help the people around us.
Yeah.
So if a producer decides to go to digital or a filmmaker decides to go to digital, I can tell you it is not their first option. Like, it's not Pan's first option. He wanted to go somewhere else, but the thing is, if it's not going to happen, and if it is going to be financially this thing, you have to think about your next film, your office, the staff that depends on you. So these are things which are being done only because of the fact that we are in this unprecedented, unique situation. It is not because anybody wants to snuff the light, of theater experience. That is not going to go away. So I just wanted to say it because there's a lot of everyone's feeling very, have we cut a deal with the devil? And I'm like, no, the devil is out there waiting to get us.
Yeah. I think Jean-Michel struck a note of caution. He said, we are, in a sea that is rough, but we should not panic and jump into the ocean and get eaten by the sharks. Yeah. So we should probably watch out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I don't know, probably in the near future, we'll have a film on the pandemic that gets released in theaters. And when we go and attend the film festivals and then review it. So that would be an ideal scenario when things come back to normal. But thank you so much. Thank you, SAIBAL. I couldn't have managed this without you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tiina, Smriti, Nalin,
Stutee, for putting us together and doing this. This is lovely. We haven't seen people in a long time.
Thank
you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching this. People who are watching the live streaming on Facebook. Thank you so much.
And we'll probably do this a few more times.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.